Welcome to the Exposure Magazine podcast from the heart of the British nuclear test survivor community. Today on Veterans Memories, we are going to hear Southeast Point, Paddy, Me and the Nuclear Bomb Site by Richard Bonas, as published in the autumn 2018 edition of Exposure Magazine.
We had endured the agony of Christmas Island for 10 months now, and still had another 2 to go before the full year was up when we would be posted elsewhere, me to Malaya and Paddy back to UK. It would have been in October 1959, exactly 1 year since the last H-bomb tests had been carried out at Southeast Point, that the information declaring this bomb site to be an open area and safe to visit was contained in Part 2 orders and displayed for all to read. It was compulsory to read orders daily, and God help any man who didn't. So, one evening soon after, Paddy and me took a truck up to this safe area to have a look at what H-bombs could do. Arriving at Southeast Point and looking around there wasn't much to see really, except some rusting twisted scaffolding poles, the remains of what had been some sort of platform, and a burnt-out generator or two and army vehicles in a similar condition. I did notice, however, that the whole area was slightly dished, with low ridges running out from the centre of the dish, rather like as if a giant's hands had scraped out a shallow depression and leaving small ridges where his fingers had scraped outwards from the centre point strange. Also, any small bushes left were stunted and blackened as if from fire. More interesting to us, as we walked around dressed in boots, socks, shorts and floppy hats, was the variety of strangely misshapen pieces of rock with unusual colours of metallic greens, blues, yellows, etc., which we in our innocence picked up and studied closely, saying things like, "Look at this one, see what a funny colour it's gone. Core, yes, so it has." And so on. There were no notices to warn the unwary. There was no concrete covering of the area, and the site was not fenced off. It was an open area and safe to walk on. Part 2. Orders had said so, hadn't they? Who were we to question orders? Of course, we knew that radiation was bad and could make a man sterile. There were plenty of jokes about that on the island. But we were told that the doses were so small as to be quite harmless, and we believed it. So much so that it wasn't until the late 1970s, whilst talking to an experienced senior member of the Royal Observer Corps, whose main task would be to measure radiation and nuclear fallout in the event of a nuclear war, that I began to realise the enormity of what Paddy and I had done. Many others too, no doubt. I then related these events to the solemn-faced ROC officer, who listened carefully and replied, "You must have had a massive dose of radiation, Richard. What does this bomb site look like now? Is it fenced off? Are there warning notices erected to keep people away? Is the whole area under several feet of concrete as it should be? I, for one, would be very interested to know." Sorry, but I cannot now recall Paddy's surname, but I do recall he was an Ulsterman and about my age of 21.
Thank you for joining us on the Exposure Magazine podcast. We hope this retelling of Southeast Point, Paddy, Me and the Nuclear Bomb Site by Richard Bonas has shed light on the enduring legacy of the British nuclear tests. Thank you for joining us today as we bring Exposure Magazine to life. Like, subscribe and share for more great podcasts.